The referees had it under control from the beginning, and really credit to the VAR for doing a good job in what has otherwise in an area which has been otherwise under fire from different sets of fans during this campaign, because many who were thrust into this role weren't sure what to do. It took Thailand until extra time, but the War Elephants eventually made it to their 10th final of the ASEAN Championship after they overcame a stubborn resistance from the Philippines to prevail 3-1 on aggregate after extra time at the Raja Mangala Stadium this evening. And Thailand had to be very patient to see out this game, and for once the officiating was also rather good. And here I'm actually going to elaborate on how Thailand got it right and got it a bit wrong to allow the Philippines to snatch a goal late in regulation time to force extra time, and eventually how Thailand regrouped themselves to prevail in the extra 30 minutes with that winning goal from their wonder kid Supana Mutena. Thailand came into this second leg trailing 1-2 on aggregate after their defeat in Manila at the Rizal Memorial Stadium, and they know that they have to score to retain a chance of reaching the final. And you can say back-to-back successive finals to continue the defense of the ASEAN Championship title. And from the get-go, they went on the attack. So from the first whistle, they actually went on the front foot. They went on high pressing. They actually were quite robust in their approach to the game, even to the point that their number 25 Saksan Ratri, he was involved in a couple of tough challenges that left his Philippines counterpart flawed on a couple of occasions early in the game, but the intent to strike early was there. For a goal would give Thailand the psychological advantage to push on to score more on home ground. However, they were nearly undone because in their desperation for the early goal, in their push for the early goal, a mistake from a poor clearance from Patiwat Kamai nearly undid them in the 16th minute. Really, that poor clearance allowed Zico Bailey to actually intercept that poor long ball and feed the ball to Javier Gayoso to race clear. And with the goalkeeper beaten, the Thai defense had to make a last minute clearance near the goal line to prevent an embarrassing reversal where it would have become a huge mountain to climb. And that rare Philippines opportunity was also the time where actually they gave notice that any defensive mistake the Thais make at the back, they are willing to go the extra yard and make them pay a price. And as the minutes grew, actually, you can see that desperation in the Thai forwards, especially in their keenness to try to strike the early psychological blow. That became quite apparent towards the half-hour mark, especially when Thailand were on the counter-attack at the half-hour, and actually when you got 3 Thai attackers against 2 Philippines defenders on the break. Unfortunately, unlike us who are watching on television or streaming where we could see the view through the television camera, the player doesn't really have that advantage, and it was a bit unfortunate that you can say that Patrick Gustafsson, who has remained a live wire throughout the game, where he actually chose to lay the ball up for Ben Davies, Ben Davies, instead of the on-rushing Supachok Sarachan, who was free on his left, and with nobody marking him in that moment. A special mention to Ben Davies, because the thing is, this is actually only his second game of the tournament after sitting out the rest of the group stage and perhaps even the first leg of the semi-final. After, you can say, after the first game against Timor-Leste, where the War Elephants were merciless in their 12-0 thrashing of Thailand. 10-0 thrashing of Timor-Leste, in the group stage. So without him playing, I think there was a void left behind. Even though Thailand has no shortage of talent on the bench, they have the depth, and it eventually showed towards the second half and even towards extra time, when as players began to suffer from cramps, suffer from match fatigue, the long minutes on the pitch. It's this depth that will eventually see Thailand through to the final and the final whistle at the end of extra time. But going forward now, the first goal of the game, a bit controversial, but one reason why there was little to no controversy in this match compared to the previous semi-finals between Vietnam and Singapore, and some other dubious decisions, contentious decisions at the group, and some matches in the group stage. I think mainly when it comes to the virtual assistant referee of VAR, you do need a specialist who knows how to see things as they are on screen and who knows how to interpret them, because being a VAR is very different from being the man in the middle. The man in the middle only sees his surroundings, only sees the players around him, and his two eyes on what he sees from that scope, from that angle, from those angles that he can see even as he runs on the pitch. But the VAR is able to see things through the multiple camera angles. Although the setup for the VAR in this ASEAN Championships has been rather paltry, to say the least. Very paltry. It's like, instead of your usual standard, many screens, many cameras, like what you see in the World Cup or the European Championships or even the Copa America. But in the ASEAN Championship, the resources are rather paltry, and you get the situation where senior referees who are supposed to aid the few rookie referees from other confederations who are involved in the officiating of this match, they look a little lost in how they interpret the things on the screen compared to what they see on the pitch. The head VAR of this evening, Muhammad Taki Al-Jafari of Singapore, he has done an exceptional job tonight. He is the main reason why this second leg of this semi-final has not descended into chaos. Because of his vast experience in that role, his ability to read the various match situations, having been through in this role at the World Cup, at the Asian Cup, at the Olympic Games, especially in the big events, in the finals, in the knockout stages. He knows that the stakes are high. He knows that a critical decision could impact the outcome of the game. And Taki got it largely right throughout this semi-final second leg tonight. And because of that, yes, you can say the lead up to the first goal was reminiscent of how Kaoru Mimota laid out that pass when the ball was still on the line, although very contentiously. It's like, it can be as little as you can see on my fingers, this little part of the ball that is still on that white line. because according to the rules of the game, the ball has to be completely out of the line. That means including the outer sphere, or the outer sphere of it, to be completely out of the goal line in order for the ball to be ruled out of play. But in the lead up to Thailand's first goal, that actually did not happen. And actually, as subsequent replays showed, Supanan Burihan, when he raced through on the right, and as he reached the goal line, the ball was still on the goal line, just still on the goal line, barely. How do I use it as a reference? If this is the ball, and let's say this is my finger is the goal line, it's still roughly there when he laid the ball for Patrick Gustafsson to score the opening goal of the game in the 37th minute. So it's just that little bit. Yes, I'm using an illustration to make this point. Just that little bit. And as subsequent screen caps of the ball being on the line from different angles, not instantly on the goal line, on the cameras, on the match camera where it was facing it. I mean, the Philippines players, a few of them were thought, hey, the ball has completely gone off the line. But remember, the ball is round and your goal line is only this much. And as long as you still have a little bit of the ball on that white line, whether it's from the top angle view or from a further, or from a side, from distance, the ball is still in play. And that goal was valid. And the referee and the VAR did not waste any time trying to dispute, trying to spend countless minutes trying to ascertain that did the ball go out of play, did the ball did not go out of play. The decision was instant, the decision was spot on, there was no time wasting involved. There was a few minutes of consultation, but that was it. The Japanese referee Hiroyuki Kimura, in his third appearance in this ASEAN Championship as referee, he did not have to run to the screen to look at the replays. This is where the experience came in handy. The experience of Taki as VAR. Without that, I can tell you that Thailand-Philippines game, where the stakes remain high, could have descended into total chaos. I think both sets of fans, the fans who are at Raja Mangala Stadium and those who are watching, they are all grateful that the decision making for tonight has been very straightforward because of this experience of this decisive decision making. And yes, so now they have the deadline, now the deadlock is broken, and what you see next is Thailand continue to push on for a second goal because 2-2 on aggregate, there's no away goals, and what they need, Thailand need, is an outright victory in regulation time by at least 2 goals to be certain of a place in the final. Because since there are no away goals, even though Thailand held that advantage, it will go to extra time if the aggregate score had stayed that way. So they can continue where they left off in the first half, and they were rewarded with a second goal 7 minutes in after the break, where you can say it once again it took decisive VAR review to ascertain that Patrick Gustafsson, his back was actually online with the last defender before he raced clear to receive, the ball and actually slot it into the bottom corner of the net. That second goal, which gives Thailand some comfort in knowing that, it's almost job done. Again, Mr. Kimura did not have to run to the screen again. It was Taki's experience and decision making. He saw what happened. He looked at those lines, and it was as clear as day that Gustafsson was on site before he received that true ball. Yep. So there you go, 2-0. And Thailand thought it was almost done, but wait a minute, that's when Philippines began to switch their play. From initially wanting to sit back and so-called to hold on to that one goal lead, now the advantage is being overturned and they have to go on the attack. And you can say that Thailand felt that they were rather comfortable, but perhaps a bit too comfortable, as we will find out why. 7 minutes from time, John Christensen, who came on as a second half substitute, he took that one chance he had, which smashed into the net to force the game into extra time. There is no fault of anyone. It was really a well taken shot. The defense couldn't do much to it because of his freshness on the pitch, his turn and evasive action against the defenders who are closing in on him. And he showed that he's not just merely a good penalty taker. And that goal actually sent both teams into extra time, 3-3 on aggregate. Well, the Philippines could have said what could have been in the 90th minute at the end of regulation time. If only Armani Aguinaldo's header had not been saved, if only that follow-up shot had entered the net instead of hitting the post, it could have been all game over at 2-2, which would have been in favor of the Philippines on aggregate. But it did not happen, and the Thai goalkeeper had to be involved earlier, Patiwat. He had to come out and make a fingertip save to deny a rather audacious attempt from Zico Bailey to curl the ball from the left to curl straight into the top corner. Rather audacious attempt when it could have been an indirect free kick, but he tried it anyway, nearly pulled it off, but Patiwat was more than equal to the task. And that rather now evenly matched encounter, especially in the last 20 minutes, with that crucial Philippines goal 7 minutes from time, extra time began. And it was generally much of it belonged to Thailand in a rather more turgid affair. You can say that the legs are beginning to tire, the fatigue has taken a toll, the pace was rather slow, but Thailand were very patient. Instead of rushing to find another goal as they did in the first 30 minutes, they took their time, they composed themselves, they stroked the ball around, trying to find a little gap, trying to tease around the defensive white shirts who were guarding their goal. And in the 116th minute, 116 minute, that was when they finally struck again, and it's probably too little too late for the Philippines to come back. From a diagonal cross from Morajit, Supana Mutena, who came on as a late substitute in the second half, he evaded the attention of two defenders, or rather he met the ball perfectly to hit past the Philippines goalkeeper for the winner. For the winning goal to seal the victory 3-1 on aggregate. Yes, there were a few scenes of contention late on with a few minor odd skirmishes, but because the referees had it under control from the beginning, and really credit to the VAR for doing a good job in what has otherwise, in an area which has been otherwise under fire from different sets of fans during this campaign, because many who were thrust into this role weren't sure what to do. But because the referees on the pitch, in the VAR room, are in control, this game largely focused on the football, very few theatrics, Even a few skirmishes and a few minor flurry of yellow cards did not dance the atmosphere, did not dance the mood of the game. Thailand had that class. Thailand had that ability. Thailand had that depth. And when it finally came together in extra time, they got it right in the end. Although it took them a bit longer than their predecessors. Their predecessors were usually more confident in controlling the game in the 90 minutes and killing them off when they wanted to. This Thailand side, because of a few, you can say, the changes they had, the tweaks they had to make at times, even though they also had a few regulars who they knew that they could count upon throughout this campaign, it took them a while, but it got them there. Then what about the Philippines, I would say? I would actually pity them. The Philippines had gotten this far. They were nearly minutes away from forcing a penalty shootout. But it did not happen. And Philippines had to settle for a fifth semi-final campaign without progressing further. Had they scored at the death in regulation time instead of hitting the bar, there will have been a lot of what ifs, because you can see that while the Philippines, they took a while to get settled as a compact unit, but it was clear that the momentum had risen after the previous victories over a largely youthful Indonesian side in their final group game, and also Thailand in the first leg using their home advantage, the artificial turf at Rizal Memorial Stadium into their favor. This time, is their resilience, their determination, led by their captain Aguinaldo, who was largely up front from the second half onwards, throwing himself into those long crosses, into those corners, hoping to cause some problems, which he nearly did at the end in the 90th minute. But still, the Thais had the better talent, had the better quality on the ball, and the better match temperament in terms of knowing the patience to unlock the stubborn resistance of the Philippines, to unlock these and get something past them at the end. And that's where the Thais really prevailed. Congratulations to Thailand for reaching their 10th ASEAN Championship final. It's going to be a very intriguing third final encounter between Thailand and Vietnam, which will be held on the 2nd of January in Vietnam first, followed by the 5th of January in Thailand. And we will see whether Thailand will be able to keep their regional title under Masada Ishii, or will it be a first ASEAN crown for South Korean coach Kim Sang-sik, a first since Park Hang-seo managed to do it in 2016. And with that, signing off for the night.